Right now, billions of dollars for North Carolina public schools is on the line. If you've lived in the state long enough, you've probably heard of the Leandro case. It was first filed nearly 30 years ago. It centers on whether the state is providing an adequate education to all students.
Yeah, and the state Supreme Court has actually taken up the case 4 times since it was first filed. Most recently, though, in 2022. And over the years, it's become a lot more complex and complicated. The crux of the argument focuses, though, on how schools are funded in lower income areas compared to the rest of the state.
And now that the case is being reconsidered again, money for your child's school could be at risk. Legislative leaders are calling for the case to be overturned. As WCNC Charlotte's Julia Kaufman reports, that has education advocates very concerned.
In 2022, the state authorized the Leandro Plan, funneling billions of dollars to North Carolina school districts over 8 years to make up for decades of inadequate funding.
So North Carolina is currently ranked 49th in the nation for public school investment.
Now that money is on hold. Republican legislative leaders argue the courts were not allowed to order the state to give money to every district when the original Leandro case only included 5.
The trial court had no jurisdiction to issue those orders, and thus all of those orders should be overturned.
Matthew Tilley represented Senate President Phil Berger and House Speaker Tim Moore at the recent Supreme Court hearing.
So it was very disappointing.
Former CMS board member and education advocate Jennifer De La Hara worries lawmakers are trying to defund schools as a political game.
It's a move towards privatization. And that's exactly how privatization works.
Matthew Ellenwood with the North Carolina Justice Center calls the Supreme Court's decision to reconsider the case unusual.
Usually there's a degree of finality you get when you go to a state Supreme Court, and certainly they value their own precedents and tend to not overrule them.
Berger and Moore challenged the case after the Supreme Court secured a Republican majority.
Is it just politics by another name, or is it actually an institution that's designed to uphold your rights regardless of who sits in those seats?
Plus, Berger's son, Phil Berger Jr., is a Supreme Court justice.
I think there's a direct conflict of interest.
Justice Berger asked his colleagues on the court to decide whether he should recuse himself from the case. They voted no, saying the lawsuit involves Berger's father as a government official and not an individual. The Supreme Court's decision on whether money can be released to all school districts could come as early as March 22nd. Julia Kaufman, WCNC Charlotte.